All right. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation and Treaty 3 territory. My name is Neil Harden. I'm chairing today's panel. With me via Zoom are Robert Hutchins and Lynn Nesbitt. And the assessor today is Jonathan Spachuk, and the secretary is Stephen Lund. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application and will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions the applicant may have, then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application be brought forward, the applicant may leave. Process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 and 3 through 12 on the agenda today. Mr. Land, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jonathan Spachuk.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
My name is Jared Story.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So, welcome, gentlemen. The first property on today's agenda is 610 Kildare Avenue East. So, Mr. Spachuk, you can proceed when ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We are looking at file number 22-4238, and just checking, is my volume all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. We are looking at the 2023 business assessment. We're located at 610 Kildare Avenue East, and we have a total annual rental value of $96,660, and I'm recommending it be reduced to $94,980 based on the Realty Board order. I've included the workup on page 3, and I believe the applicant is accepting, but if you could check, that'd be great.
Okay. And how do you feel about that number, Mr. Story?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we are in agreement. Now we're pending client approval on all the recommendations that we're accepting today. But yes, we do not dispute that figure, so we are in agreement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I just ask? Yeah, I have a question. Mr. Spachuk, can you just confirm that it's based on the rate per square foot, and one premise has been reduced to $32 and the other one $10.50, or actually increased?
Yes, that is true.
Okay. And no other changes to square feet or anything like that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Bob, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
All right, so we'll go to item 3 then, which is 1947 Henderson.
Just one moment.
Okay, you can proceed.
We are looking at file number 22-4362. This is the 2023 business assessment for 1947 Henderson Highway. And again, we have a total value originally of $111,780. I am making a recommendation to reduce that to $81,540 based on a board decision for the realty. You can see on the page 3 the changes from the rates. You can see it went from $197.79 for the kiosk down to $125, and then the car wash from $10.30 up to $11.75, and then that's where you get the total $81,540.
Okay, Mr. Story, how do you feel about that?
We are in agreement, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, Bob?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, Lynn, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Then we will go on to 715 Kimberly.
Okay.
Okay, let me open the file. Okay, Mrs. Patrick on 715 Kimberly.
Okay, so we are looking at file number 22-4620. This is the 2023 assessment for 715 Kimberly Ave. We have the Gateway Auto Body. This is 10,024 square feet at $14.61. Plus occupancy cost gives you a total ARV of $171,540. I do believe the applicant is looking for confirmation, and if you could just check for me, that would be great.
Okay, Mr. Story.
We are indeed requesting that the file be confirmed. Yes, that is correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Lynn, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Bob?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. So then we will move to 40 Lexington Park. And let me open that file. Okay, you can begin, Mr. Spacek.
Thank you very much. We're looking at file number 22-4564. This is the 2023 business assessment for 40 Lexington Park. This is Manitoba Public Insurance Building. We have originally 44,000 square feet at an overall ARV of 1979 a square foot for a total ARV of 870,660. I am requesting a reduction to 780,120. You can see the workup is on page 2 and 3. You can see the overall story is that all the rents have been changed to 1523 overall. So you can see that across the 4 different premises, and that's how we get that total value of 780,120. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Story, how do you feel about that number?
We are in agreement. That is the number that's commensurate with our submission as well, Mr. Chair. So we agree. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, Bob?
No questions, thank you.
All right, we'll move to 360 Goulet.
Opening that up.
Yeah, myself as well. Okay, you can proceed when ready.
Thank you. We have a 260 Goulet. This is roll number 22-4592. We are looking at the 2023 business assessment. This is owned by Sobeys Atlantic Fuel Co. This is just a small kiosk, 416 square feet at $216.35 for a total ARV of $90,000. And I'm asking that be confirmed today.
Okay, Mr. Story.
We are requesting that the file be confirmed as well, Mr. Chair, and that's so that it may be heard in concert with the Realty Appeal to Municipal Board. So we're simply requesting that this one be confirmed today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Bob?
No, thank you.
All right. So then 930 St. Mary's Road. Okay, Mr. Spacek, you can proceed.
Just confirming this value, one moment. So we are at file number 22-4574. This is the 2023 business assessment for 930 St. Mary's Road. This is another MPI owned building. We have originally 322,740 ARV based on 17,694 square feet at $18.24. I am recommending a reduction from 322,740 to 254.40. And if you turn to page 3 of my brief, you'll see that the rental rates have been changed on those two premises to $12.
Okay.
I'm asking for that reduction. Thank you.
Mr. Story, how do you feel about the recommendation?
We agree, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now we go to 190 St. Anne's Road. From Mr. Spacek on 190 St. Anne's Road.
Thank you. This is file number 22-4399. This is the 2023 business assessment for 190 St. Anne's Road. This is owned by Red River Cooperative. We have 2,724 square feet overall at overall ARV of 3363. That gives us the total value of 91,620 ARV, and I'm asking that be confirmed today. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Story.
Yes, we are requesting confirmation as well, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bob, any questions?
No, thank you.
Lynn?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We go to 1621 St. Mary's Road then. And open the file. Okay, Mr. Spacek, you can begin.
Thank you. This is file number 22-4400. We have the 2023 business assessment for 1621 St. Mary's Road, another Red River Cooperative location. We have 4,242 square feet overall at $30.86. This is a total annual rental value of $130,920. And same as our last one, I'm asking to be confirmed today. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Story.
Yes, sir. We are again requesting confirmation so this file may be heard at the municipal board in concert with the realty appeal. So we're requesting confirmation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the panel?
No questions, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. Then 2146 St. Mary's Road. Okay, you can begin with Mr. Spacek when you're ready.
You again. We are looking at file number 22-4239. This is the 2023 business assessment for 2146 St. Mary's Road. Again, this is a number in Manitoba, but ran as the business name is the Norman Park Shell. We have overall square footage of 8,230 square feet at $16.19 overall for ARV, and then the total ARV works out to $133,260, and I am asking that be confirmed today.
Okay, Mr. Story.
We are in agreement. We are requesting confirmation on this file as well, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the panel?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right. Then we come to 1032 Marion. So when you are ready, Mr. Spacek.
Thank you very much. We are looking at file number 22-4597. This is a 2023 roll year. Business assessment for 1032 Marion. This is a small domo located. It's only 278 square feet, one of those kiosk only. It's at an overall ARV of at $206.55 a square foot, and it has a total ARV of $57,420. This is one of the. So this is one today where we have, it was not heard at the realty level, but the business assessment is being heard. So I've just included a picture of it on page 2 so you can see. This is located just west of the corner of Lage and Marion. It's again just a lot, just the small domo kiosk, and our modeled value of this one is $204.07. You'll notice on page 3 I've included our comparables that were used for the 2023 cycle for all of these types of gas stations as well. You can see that we only have a few smaller net leases in place. So comparable number 5 is 296 Madison Street. This is a 1990 domo as well. It has a lease started in 2018 to 22. It's 112 square feet, and the lease is for $160.71. Another smaller kiosk we have is comparable number 8. This is 1584 Regent Avenue. This is a 2000 built Superstore gas bar. It's a 2020 lease that runs until 2025. It's 364 square feet. So again, another small kiosk at $159.61. And then we have a couple larger that they're larger than our smaller ones, but they're comparable number 13 and 14. You can see they're located on Inkster and Nairn. They're 17 and 19 signed leases, 500 and 840 square feet respectively, so bigger than our kiosk today, and they're at 75.98 and 59.52. But again, that's some of the information that was presented for these types of properties for the realty hearing, and that is my presentation. Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Story?
I have a few, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Spacek, the rent that's being applied here, that is model derived. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay, and I think you mentioned that this is an older, smaller style kiosk, but can we agree that there are only 4 pumps at this location? Is that?
We can agree.
Okay. Now, can we also agree that the primary driver of rental rates in the gas station world is literage? So it's not based on the square footage of the kiosk or the C-store, but rather the amount of the liters, the amount of gas that can be sold at each location. Is that a fair comment?
Yes, I believe it's important for sure.
Okay, so then now I won't go through, we can talk about any of these. I had the opportunity to go through all of the comps here, but these, just to be clear, these were not selected for the purpose of this exercise, but rather is it fair to say that this is sort of to give an overview of the universe of these types of properties, or were they selected specifically for this property?
Yeah, I used the same list for all gas stations, whether they're the small domos or the more of the larger Red River ones with car washes attached. It's a range of those. Okay.
Can we agree, though? I think you mentioned quite rightly that the one on Madison, that would be our most comparable in that it's a domo as well, and it's only 4 pumps, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and based on the rent in place, just that calculation of the square footage by the rental area, that does equate to what the contract rent is, and that is indeed about $18,000 per year, correct?
For the Madison one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it works out to, yes.
Okay, perfect. You mentioned Regent. Now, just to be clear, that has 10 pumps. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, more pumps. I would agree with you.
And that one on Inkster, I know that one fairly well. That's propane only. That's just a convenience store. There's no actual pumps there. That used to be a Tempo, but they haven't been there since I think I'm gonna say 15 or 16. Are you aware of that?
I believe you.
Okay. And then on Nairn, that we have 6 pumps at that location, so more than our subject. Is that? Are you aware of that?
I would agree.
Okay. you know what? I think those are my questions, Madam Chair. Oh, and I guess just very quickly, the or Mr. Chair, the median and the mean that are developed here are far below what the model is suggesting as a base net rent for our subject. Correct?
Correct. Overall, these 14, it's a lower mean and median. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And is it fair then that there's not really any input on this comparable chart that would support the model's base ARV of 204.07 per square foot? Would that be
It is
fair?
higher than my highest comparable. That is true.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I think those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Lynn?
Thank you. My question also had related to the number of pumps in each one of these, but I think Mr. Story has asked most of those questions, so no additional questions.
Yes, and I agree. I was going to ask about the comparables, not really supporting the $204, but Mr. Story beat me to the punch. So I have no questions. Mr. Story, you can begin.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So, and just for background, I did have the opportunity to handle this property in the past when there was a supplementary issued, and it will be germane to our discussion because they increased the square footage to this kiosk. So I have the breakdown here on my premise description, and you can see that the original section, this is the older style wood frame with a little, for lack of a better term, the little hut for the attendant, was built in 1983 and it was 42 square feet. So very small. And it had 4 pumps. The second section of the kiosk was built in 2005, and that had a reported area of 96 square feet. So again, a very small section. And then a final section was constructed in 2012 with an area of 140 square feet. Now, part of the reason why this later section was built was purely out of concerns for security. We spoke to the owner, and that was the concern, that if there was any sort of issue, that there would be a safe area for the attendants. So it had nothing to do with the ability or the capacity for this location to generate income, but was purely done out of safety concerns. Now, further, I spoke in my questioning to the assessor regarding leaderage, and effectively, I think we can agree that the rental driver for these small gas bars, particularly where we don't have full size convenience stores like the Circle K or the 7-Eleven or a car wash, is simply leaderage. So the pumps are the proxy for value, and that's what we've used here today. So I have some photos. You can see these were done in these photos were done in relation to the supplementary after that small addition was built. You can see the interior. It is sort of a pay counter with some incidentals. You can buy, soda, gum, chips, that sort of thing. You can see the interior, exactly what you'd expect to see inside a small domo. So in terms of the different kinds of operations that we have, I've just included some examples where we have the 4 double pumps with 8 car capacity, or the 8 double pumps, the large co-ops those have 16 car capacities, and often with larger, full convenience stores and car washes. Those are not comparable to ours. So what I've done is I've looked at the market to find leased premises where we have these smaller units, and I've looked at the rent per annum, because my contention here is that the rent per square foot is effectively meaningless. And it can be distortive, quite frankly. So I've chosen 4 comparables in the market that are 4 pump units. I have the Tempo on Mandalay. Now that one also has a bit of a smaller convenience store. You wouldn't call it a full convenience store, but it also does have a car wash, and their rent per annum is $33,075. I have one that was built in 1994 on Portage, or it has an effective age, I should say, on Portage Avenue, and its rent per annum is $39,970. Another one on Pembina with an average or a rent per annum, I should say, of 22,000, and then another input on Henderson, another older gas bar, where the rent per annum is 27,250. So all this to say that the rents that we are showing above have an average of 30,574 with a median of 30,162. So in fairness, I took the average, I rounded it up to 30,580. I think that's a reasonable expectation for an older gas bar with only 4 pumps, and that if you are using the rate per square foot, that effectively equates to $110 per square foot. I have my comparables shown here. You can see that number 1 is indeed that Tempo in the Maples, and then number 2 is Domo in Unicity. It is very, very similar to our subject. Again, a 4-car capacity, as is the one on Pembina. Now that one on Pembina appears to have a larger area, likely larger than ours, or at least very similar. And you can see that the rent there per annum is very much in line with what we're suggesting. So, and then of course the Domo on Henderson, another older gas bar with what appears to be an extension to the interior area. So, based on our research, looking at these older domos where literage is the only true concern, we have elected to apply a net market rent per annum of 30,580. We're not disputing the prescribed heat, hydro, water, or AC costs. We've included them in our calculation. So ultimately, we have come to a total ARV of 31,275, which we then round to 31,260. So again, we want to be sure that we're not that we're comparing apples to apples and looking at some of these smaller gas bars and the actual contract rents per annum. And I believe our submission here supports that quite fully. So ultimately, Mr. Chair, we are respectfully submitting that the value for the business assessment for this premise not exceed 31,260. And with that, I'm open to your questions. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Mr. Spacek?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, any questions?
No, I was just following along on the math. So I can't remember, Mr. Story, what did you suggest that the annual rent was for the subject? At one point, I thought I heard you say something like $18,000, but
oh no, sorry.
Maybe I was
no, 30,580.
580.
Yeah, and that's right on the. Yeah.
But that's based on your math and taking an average of these properties, right?
Look, yes. When we look at the actual comparables in the market, we can see that. Sorry, I'm going to just pull these up again. That our average is 30,574, and our median is 30,001. I've simply rounded the 30,574 up to 30,580, which gives us a nice round number of 110 per square foot. So it is on the higher end of the average, but it does fall in line with what we would expect to see. And
I can't remember, is this owner occupied?
It's not, but it's leased to a related party. So so it wouldn't be considered truly arm's length. Okay.
All right. Just have a quick question about a number on your page. I guess it's under your summary on the page following you have a business assessment reported by the city of 87,000. Was that the realty number?
Is that not the business assessment? Sorry.
No, the business is 57,420.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's my typo. Apologies. Nope, that's that would be.
I figured it was a mistake.
Yeah,
I just, I knew it was a mistake. I just wasn't sure where it might have come from. Okay,
must have been
thank you.
Mad dash to get these all submitted in time, so apologies for that.
Oh, I'm sure it has been crazy. Okay, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Story, I'm looking on your page, your comparables on page, what page are we on? Sorry, page 10, I think.
Okay, yeah.
So the assessor used square footage analysis. You're choosing not to do that because you're not stating how big these comparables are. Am I?
Oh, sure. I can certainly pull those up for you. But no, the crux of our argument is that the square footage is well, frankly, it's immaterial to the rental rate. Literage is indeed the driving factor here. So I can certainly tell you the sizes if you'd like, but we've looked to their rent per annum. But I can certainly pull that up and give you a sense. I believe that those domos will be very close in size, but the tempo will be larger. Again, we've used a proxy of the number of pumps to be a better indicator. But so if you just give me one moment, I have my rent columns here. Okay. Okay. So in terms of size, so number one is 6,500 square feet, but that's erroneous because that includes a car wash. So that's a bit out of sorts. The three domos range from, the first one is 145 square feet. Second one is recorded as 66 square feet, and the third is 180 square feet. So again, they're the very, very small, those what we'll call the early 1980s kiosk style. But again, we have not used a rate per square foot. We've indeed used the rent per annum as a proxy for value. That is, again, literage is the driving factor for rental rate. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So 2 and 3 are domos?
2, 3, and 4.
2, okay. 2, 3, and 4 are domos. Okay. And the square footage you just provided was 145 square feet for, I'll call it comp number 2. Number 3 is 66 square feet.
Yep.
And number 4 is 180 square feet.
That is correct.
And how do they compare in the pump numbers?
They're all 4. That was the basis that we, yes. And I'll also note I saw in the assessor is using the one on Madison, and that's the one where I had mentioned that the annual rental rate there is 18,000, and that is also indeed a 4 pump enterprise. So we've limited our review to properties where there are only 4 pumps. I had to use the tempo, which also includes the car wash, but ultimately the primary factor that we were looking for were enterprises with only 4 pumps.
Okay. Can you provide how much per square foot that is to make apples to apples? Like the assessor provided one domo at $159 a square foot, and then second, I believe it was a non-domo at $160, were 2 of his highest ones. And then he I think he proceeded to say that there were other ones at about $61 to $80 a square foot.
No, I certainly can. My issue though with the assessor's comps are the number of pumps. So they range from 4 up to 12. Many of them are 6, 8, 10, and 12. So that would be my issue with the assessor's comparables. But in terms of rental rate per square foot, I can.
I think that maybe just the comp number 2, 3, and 4, the actual domos, which
sure.
is
So
most appropriate, I guess.
Sure. They run from 151 to 275, but again, just to be clear, that's between 27,000 and 39,000 per annum. So, yeah.
So, would comp number 1? Would you mind providing the individual rates per foot?
Yeah. So number 1 is $5.09.
Okay.
Per square foot. But that's because it has
1,000 square feet, right? Okay.
And that's because it has a car wash. Yep.
Yeah.
That equates to 33,000 per annum. Number 2 is 275.65. That equates to just a touch under 40,000 per annum. The third one is 333 per foot, which equates to just under 22,000 per annum. And the final one at 180 square feet is 151 per foot, which equates to 27,000. Just a touch over 27,000 per annum. So that's the issue. It's not the rental rate per square foot that we're concerned with. It's more of the rent per annum. You can see that the base ARV that the assessor is using, or the model is suggesting, is over $56,000.
Yeah.
And none of our comps are well, they're 40,000 would be the very, very high end.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you're asking us to use, and I'm going to convert it to square foot here, about $110 a square foot.
Precisely.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for breaking that down for us, and I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. And I have no questions that haven't been asked and answered. So thank you for that. We'll move on to our last property on today's agenda, 145 Warman. Let me open the files. Okay, Mr. Spacek on 145 Warman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're looking at file number 22-4261. This is the 2023 business assessment for 145 Warman Road. This is a Cal Tire, newer Cal Tire built around 2016. This is located at the corner of Warman and Lage. So when you're driving south over Lage, over that bridge from Nairn, or the overpass, I should say, it's on your right-hand side. Again, this is one of those situations where for the realty, it was a different represented by someone else, like different company for the owner, and then now I believe we're looking at the tenant appealing, and it's Altus has it. So it was withdrawn with the 15-1, but again, all without prejudice. So I'm not bringing up any values or anything, but we're kind of starting fresh on this one again as a new hearing. So we are at a total premise for this location at 11,833 square feet. This is a newer Cal Tire. It has 6 regular sized doors, one kind of oversized door, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at today. And what I did do first of all is quickly, because there was Mr. Story sent me some information from last cycle, which changed the AC area, which hopefully will get changed going forward. But there was information he sent me, and I'm sure it's in his brief, that I'm requesting that the AC square footage be changed from 11,833 to 1,573. So the only thing this really changes is that AC value, or the air conditioning value, is going from 4,142 to 551 total ARV. And what that does is it changes the total ARV from 247,440, I believe, 247,440 to 243,840. So I am asking for that small reduction to 243,840. And what I've included today for that 11,833 square feet of the Cal Tire, it's at $18.41. I've included on page 2 our list of vehicle service garage comparables from the 2023 cycle. So again, this is a wide range, mostly on the lower side. You'll see that our largest one is comparable number 12, but this is a 1979 built, more of a semi-truck, like industrial shop. It's 17,909 square feet at $10.15. And then, just as comparison above that, comparable 11 is 20 Lakewood. So again, this is off of Furmore. It's a VSG, it's a Boyd, it's a vehicle service garage, 8,000 square feet, getting $20 a square foot in a busier location, part of much other retail buildings. But again, just a wide range. These large, I've had a few of these this cycle, and it's the larger BSGs. It is tough to find net rents for them. So our model-driven rent is $18.41 for the business assessment, and that is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Story.
Yeah, just a few questions, Mr. Chair. Okay, so we've dealt with the AC issue. Thank you for that, Mr. Spacek. Now, the base ARV per square foot, that is modeled, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the comps, I think you said that these are simply comps that are they're used to support the assessment of our subject, but they were not indeed chosen for the subject. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've used the same list of net rents for VSGs for multiple VSGs.
Okay, and can we agree at a minimum that many of these leases are very, very short? They're
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and typically shorter leases would have higher rates. Is that a fair
They
comment
can,
as a
for
general?
sure.
Yeah, and I also I noticed that the swath of rents here they range from I think it's $7.50 to $29.30. So that's a very, very wide swath of rents, correct?
There is a range, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And in terms, so I went through each of these, and also in terms of the sizes, I understand, I appreciate the trouble in finding these larger, tire shop comps are typically, 3,000-4,000 square feet or something like that. Ours is much larger, but would you agree with me that let's say your best comps that are submitted here would be 2, which is a Fountain Tire, 10, which is Signature Tire, 12, which is that's Fast Fleet, so that is indeed more of an industrial flavor, and then 15, which is another tire shop. Would those be your best comps?
They're all tire shops, but again, they're smaller and they're not Cal tires. They're not built 2017, so
right.
Again, I don't know if they're my best, but they are all tire shops for sure.
Okay, and they're also smaller, and they're also on short.
Yeah, they're all smaller. Yeah,
and on short leases, right? Okay, and then and older. Yeah, absolutely. Now that Boyd location, I'm familiar with that one. That's in Lakewood Plaza, so that would be vastly superior in terms of construction and also in terms of location. Fair comment?
I think for location for sure. Construction, they're just different.
Okay, and again, 3-year lease. But okay, so I think I'll leave my questions there, Mr. Chair. I'll thank you, Mr. Spatcha. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, any questions?
Yes, and I'm sorry because there's a lot of comps. These aren't all tire shops, are they?
No, they're just vehicle service
range.
garages. Yeah.
Okay, so and I understand why you pulled or why they're used, not a problem. So Mr. Story indicated 4 comps, 2, 10, 12, and 15. Are those the only tire shops?
I think, those are what specialize in tires. They'll have tires as their main purpose, if that makes sense.
They would be similar to the Cal Tire.
Yeah, in a way.
To the subject.
For in what they do, sure.
Okay. Is there other ones that would be similar also to what our subject is?
I think they're all similar in the fact that buildings you drive up with, larger doors that open up, the cars go in and they work on them, and what they do in there, whether it be a collision center or an oil change or they're all pretty similar in purpose to me. They're all vehicle service garages. Again, these are all much older comps. Like our Cal Tire is, if you recognize them when you drive by, built 2017, it's much newer. And again, what I was just showing is comparable 11 and 12. You can see, again, comparable 12 is a much 1979 built. It's they work on semi trucks out there on King Edward. It's 17,000 square feet, so it's almost it is again much larger than our property. It's $10.15, so that's on the low range. And then a Boyd, which is a better location at comparable 11. It's a collision center, but again, doors, the cars drive in, they work on them. They in my mind for similar purpose, and it's $20. So again, higher than our subject. It's just There's a range there. That's that's the best I got.
So you're looking at it not so much for the use, but for the type of building, the hoist, the big doors, the drive-in capability, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
not so much tire shops. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just there is a wide range here for sure, and I think there is a wide range in rents. And if I had some nice net rents of $12,000 to $20,000 tire shop / collision center, it'd be much easier.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I have no additional questions, Mr. Chair.
All right. Bob, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Pochak, would you mind, so you're making a verbal recommendation, and I think it's based on an adjusted occupancy cost, is that correct?
Absolutely. I'm changing the air conditioning from 11,833 square feet to 1,573. So only the main office when you walk in is really the air conditioned part. The rest of it has no air conditioning.
Sure.
So that needs to be adjusted in our system, and Mr. Story sent me the information to show that.
Okay, could you provide the adjusted total occupancy cost for us?
Absolutely. It goes so for the AC it changes from 4,142 to 551, and then the total occupancy cost changes to from 29,583 to 25,992. And then that 25,992 is rounded to 25,990.
990, okay.
Yeah.
Plus the base ARV at 1841.
Yeah, that works out to 217,845, and that doesn't change.
Okay. Okay, and is this owner occupied?
Yes, from my understanding.
Okay, and it was built in 2017.
Yes.
All right. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and I have no questions. So, Mr. Story, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so as we've established, we're here at 145 Warman. We have a newer Cal Tire shop. It is fairly large, and again, somewhat difficult to find comps that are indeed comparable. It is a bit atypical in that it's on the larger side, but I have provided you with some comparables. Okay, so ultimately, I'll just take you very quickly to my comp page. We have an older Fountain Tire right across the street. It's at 140 Warman. The rent, it's an older rent, but it is at $11.50, and that effective age is 1979. But it is fairly similar, so we have included it. We have another rent on Oak Point Highway. That's an older vehicle service building, and again smaller at 7,500 square feet. That's at $719. We also have a what we'll call more fresh rent at on Regent, indices number 3. So let's pull that up to know exactly what it is. But these are all indeed typically branded vehicle service that would be comparable in terms of functionality. And we've tried to look to the higher side. So there's that one on Regent. We have 2140 McPhillips. That's 1985. That's at $12. And then we have two indices on King Edward. The other concern here that we have is that we want to be very careful not to include properties that are on what we'll say are major retail or commercial nodes, as our subject is a bit off the beaten path. So we have considered that. So we've considered the functionality, the size, and the use. Now, a body shop, I think it's likely better to use a tire shop for a tire shop, as tire shops have certain requirements. There's a lot of storage typically. The body shops have other machinery and other requirements. So ultimately, we have comps that indicate average rents of $10.64, the median of $10.82. I mentioned that the comps that I thought were best from the assessors submission here were $2.10, $12, and $5. Those average to $11.90 and a median of $11.58. So ultimately, we have used $12 per square foot. We've adjusted our AC. There's a written submission from the last cycle from the owner, but that's no longer an issue. So ultimately, when we apply a rent of $12 per square foot to the 11,833 square feet, again, that's a very large property in this class, we come to a total ARV of $167,988, which we then round to $168. And again, we do respectfully submit that that $12 per foot makes sense given our submission, given what we see in the market. And I will leave my presentation there, but ultimately 168 is our request today, Mr. Chair, and I thank you.
Okay, and Mrs. Patrick, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Robert, questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So Mr. Story, you agree with the occupancy costs that the assessor has recommended?
We agree with the prescribed occupancy rates.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
And then you're asking for us to revise the rent to $12 a square foot.
$12. You're correct, sir.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Okay, Lynn, questions?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
All right, and I have no questions, so that means we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your capable presentations once again.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.